Discover the heartwarming moment Vin Diesel uncovers a server's hidden pain, an inspiring, life-changing encounter. Mia had always been the light in the greasy haze of Giovanni's diner. With a smile plastered on her face, she whipped up eggs and pancakes like they were pieces of art. Yet, beyond the enthusiastic banter with regulars, there was a storm brewing beneath her surface. At 28, tired eyes danced beneath the glow of the fluorescent lights, fighting the weight of a world too heavy for her slight frame. Each shift at the diner was a performance, masking the struggles she clutched close to her heart, especially the care of her father, a war vet battling relentless shadows of PTSD. As patrons sipped their coffee and exchanged stories, they were oblivious to the cracks in Mia's facade. She loved those regulars. They sometimes reminded her of the homey warmth she missed. The diner was a makeshift family. But it was during one of those busy evenings, as she served burgers to hungry customers, a rude stranger hurled disrespectful words aimed at her father's service. That was the moment the smile cracked. It was only a few hours into the shift, but the incident felt like an avalanche. Mia rushed to the kitchen, her heart pounding and chest tight. As those salty tears spilled onto her cheeks, she thought of her father, the laughter they once shared, and of the nights he would wake up screaming, haunted by memories. The clattering of dishes faded as she broke. A wave of frustration washed over her. Just then, the kitchen's door swung open, and in stepped Vin Diesel, not the action star, but a warm and genuine patron who always made time to ask how she was doing. "Hey, Mia," he said softly, concern creasing his brow. His gentle presence wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. "Want to talk about it?" With a quivering voice, she finally let out the weight of her soul. It's hard. I'm working so much to keep everything together, but it feels like it's slipping. My dad, he's just not himself anymore." The tears flowed, but with them came a release. Vin listened, nodding as she shared her fears about losing her father. They were bonded by the quiet understanding of sacrifice. Before they could delve deeper into the conversation, chaos erupted. Mia's father suffered a severe episode at home, leaving her reeling. She had to be strong, while inside, she felt broken. Determined to hold everything together, she fashioned a temporary solution with no real relief. But it didn't last. Just hours later, panic and despair crept back in, and the diner buzzed like a beehive filled with concern. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. That night, Mia stood amidst unwavering support. Vin rallied the community, awakening the very heart of the diner. Conversations sparked, and neighbors showed up to express gratitude for her father's service and her unwavering dedication. Ghosts from the past couldn't cloud the beautiful camaraderie that blossomed, yet deep down, fear churned, threatening to overshadow their unity. As Mia looked around at the faces of friends and strangers lit by hope, she clung to the question that pulsed through the room: would they all pull together like they had so many times before? The energy in Giovanni's diner was electric. Laughter and conversation filled the air, a symphony of voices that sent ripples of warmth through the room. Yet, despite the smiles surrounding her, Mia felt the weight of anxiety pressing down on her stomach like a rock. Vin's presence calmed her, but the spark of panic she felt earlier hadn't fully dimmed. As plates clattered and the coffee pot hissed, Mia noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman with a penchant for storytelling. She always came on Wednesdays, regaling everyone with tales of her youth. Today was no exception. "Did I tell you about the time I skated on Lake Michigan?" she said, her voice easy and light. "Well, let me tell you, it was a winter wonderland." Laughter erupted, and Mia couldn't help but smile. The warmth of community swirled around her, a stark contrast to the isolation she sometimes felt. But then, the room went quiet. Mrs. Henderson had mentioned something about a nearby veterans' health fair. It was a call to action that seemed to resonate with everyone. Mia's breath hitched. She knew her father could benefit from such events. Yet, She also grappled with the thought of exposing her father to more emotions, more people. With every passing moment, her heart battled with her mind. Vin noticed her unease. "Hey," he said gently. "What is on your mind?" "They're talking about that health fair," Mia replied, glancing around for support in the room. "I want to take Dad," but her voice trailed off. Vin nodded, understanding without words. "Maybe it could help him find some peace," he suggested, eyes thoughtful. "You know, you don't have to go through this alone." Just then, a man at the counter raised his hand. "Excuse me, Mia?" he called out, interrupting their conversation. "I'm a vet too. If you're looking for resources, I can help connect you with some great groups." The room buzzed again as other patrons chimed in. "And we can help volunteer. It's the least we can do," another friend said, looking supportive. Mia felt a swell of hope rise like bread in the oven. Perhaps she'd been too focused on the struggles, too consumed by the darkness weighing her down. Here, in the cozy diner filled with friends and neighbors, she saw the possibility of lifting those shadows just a little. With each offer of assistance, her heart warmed. It felt like a collective promise of support, a reminder that bearing burdens didn't have to be a solitary journey. The chatter grew louder as they talked strategy, sharing resources and stories of their own lives. This was the essence of community, a warmth that could thaw even the coldest nights, offering strength when it felt like the world was too heavy. Yet, amid all this, the reality of her father's condition loomed large in her mind. What if the emotions stirred at the health fair were too much for him? What if he couldn't engage like he once did? Resonating doubts echoed in her mind, clashing with the growing hope surrounding her. As the conversation swelled around her, Mia caught Vin's eye, a flicker of determination igniting within her. "We'll try," she said finally, her voice firm, hopeful. "We'll take him." The cheer in the diner erupted into sincere applause, and Mia's heart soared momentarily. But as she danced in that fleeting moment of joy, a flicker of uncertainty sparked within. What if her father didn't want to go? The night wore on, filled with laughter and support, yet Mia couldn't shake the knot in her stomach. Mixed emotions tugged at her as she pondered the upcoming health fair. She looked around at the familiar faces, friends, family, kindness. But then the question loomed larger, echoing in her thoughts. Would the community's strength truly be enough to help her father find his way back to himself? As the last plates were cleared, the diner's atmosphere shifted, a quiet settling in the air. The laughter faded, replaced by a collective pondering. What awaited them at the health fair would determine more than just resources. It could reshape everything. And Mia's heart danced between hope and dread as she silently prepared for the decision she had to make. As the evening wore down, the warm glow of the diner wrapped around Mia like a familiar blanket, yet with every turn, it also constricted a little tighter. The anticipation for the health fair hung uncomfortably in the air, filling her with uncertainty and dread. "Don't let it sit too long." Vin's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back to the present. He laughed, gesturing towards the pie cooling on the counter, the scent of sweet apples wafting through the air. "You know Mrs. Giovanni won't let us hear the end of it if we don't at least try a slice." Mia nodded, but laughter felt distant in her heart. The thought of her father's reluctance overcame her. What if he shuts down? What if this just it doesn't work out? Her vulnerability slipped through, and she felt the weight of doubt. Vin leaned closer, his tone gentle as he urged, "You'll never know unless you try. It's just as much the journey as the destination, right?" Another round of laughter erupted when Mrs. Henderson recounted another tale, her voice bright and spirited. Yet as Mia watched the elder woman's joy radiate through the audience, jealousy prickled at her heart. Was that ever going to be her dad again? "Hey," Vin reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "Whatever happens, you've got people rooting for you. You're not alone in this." She glanced at him. His honesty cut through her veil of insecurity. But how could she explain the fear that gnawed at her gut? All those what-ifs that circled her thoughts were more like dark storms threatening her fragile hope. As the diner started to quiet down, Mia noticed a couple of familiar faces dispersed among the other patrons. Everyone had rallied in such support, and yet a part of her questioned if that camaraderie could fill the gaping hole left by her father's struggle. Would their kindness be enough? Suddenly, the front door swung open, and a draft of chilly air announced the arrival of a new patron, an older gentleman, stooped but sturdy, wearing an army jacket that had seen better days. Mia's heart jumped. Could it be? Is that Mr. Jensen? Vin whispered, and the name echoed in her memory. He was a neighbor from down the street, a gruff but kind man who had shared stories with her father over the fence. In an instant, she felt hope intertwining with anxiety again. I haven't seen him in forever, Mia murmured. Maybe you should go talk to him, Vin suggested. He might have some insight on the health fair too. Gathering her courage, Mia approached the older man, her heart racing. He looked up with surprise, but a warm smile soon cracked through his weathered face. Mia, it's been ages. How is your dad doing? The question hit her like a punch to the gut. He was genuinely asking, caring for her family. It was grounding and overwhelming all at once. He is hanging in there, she managed to reply, forcing a smile despite the storm brewing within her. As they exchanged stories, she found comfort in the knowledge that Mr. Jensen had faced his own challenges after leaving the service. It's never easy returning home, he said, his voice heavy with experience but laced with understanding. But there's light out there, sometimes you just need a little help finding it. Mia's heart swelled, a flicker of hope igniting once more. Could this be the understanding she needed to guide her father? A connection to those who had walked similar paths? After their conversation, she returned to Vin. Talking to him, it felt good. Vin smiled, squeezing her hand gently. See, you're on the right track. Despite the warmth of the diner, as Mia stood illuminated in the soft light, the thought still lingered, was she truly ready to step into this unknown? The health fair felt like a tipping point, but what awaited them on the other side? As she glanced around at the supporting faces, the question danced on her lips. Would they be able to breathe life into her father's fading spirit, or would the attempt only deepen the wounds? Tonight was only the beginning, and with the dawn of the health fair approaching, Mia's heart beat with anticipation and dread, leaving her restless for the morning to come. Could a simple gathering light the path toward healing? Mia awoke to the soft sound of raindrops tapping against her window, the rhythm pulsing like a quiet heartbeat in the background. She pulled the covers close, savoring the warmth, yet the anticipation of the day quickly pierced the cozy tranquility. Today was the health fair, the day she hoped would spark transformation for her father. After a quick breakfast, she paced the small kitchen. Her mother had always advised that there was power in community, but her own doubts loomed large. Would they truly be able to pull her dad out of the darkness? She desperately wanted to believe it, yet the specter of all that had happened loomed over her like threatening clouds. Vin arrived just as she was about to step out. You ready? He asked, a supportive smile on his face. I guess, Mia replied, her voice trailing off. The uncertainty hovered around her like fog. Let us make this day count, he said, squeezing her hand before leading her down the street. They walked in comfortable silence, the rain causing a gentle patter on the ground beneath their feet. The energy in the air felt charged, as though everyone was preparing for something significant. When they arrived at the community center, a wave of voices cascaded over them, a tapestry of hope mingling with excitement. Booths were lined up, each one adorned with colorful banners and informational pamphlets, welcoming those who entered. The warm scent of coffee wafted through the air, sweetened by the enticing aroma of baked goods. Yet the colors felt muted to Mia, as her stomach twisted with apprehension. Vin nudged her gently. Look at all those faces, your dad knows them. They care, he reassured. Mia swallowed, unable to shake the image of disappointment she feared could emerge in her father's eyes if he faltered. Despite the wall of support around her, she felt cut adrift. Steeling herself, she moved forward, each step echoing in her heart. They stopped first at a booth that promoted mental wellness, where a friendly woman with kind eyes offered pamphlets filled with hopeful messages. This isn't just for those who are struggling, the woman explained. It's for families, for friends. Everyone's journey is important. Is it ever too late? Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Never, the woman replied, her smile unwavering. Every step forward counts, no matter how small. Mia glanced at Vin, who nodded encouragingly. One booth after another, they introduced themselves to different members of the community, connecting through shared stories, laughter, and understanding. Each interaction slowly lifted the weight on Mia's chest, how even a little kindness could create ripples of healing. But with every uplifting moment, the echo of her father's struggles loomed larger. Would he embrace this chance? Would his spirit resonate with theirs? Finally, it was time for the opening ceremony. As they gathered with the rest of the crowd, Mia searched the sea of faces, longing to see her father among them. Her heart quickened as she spotted a familiar figure in the crowd, a little tired, but standing tall. "Dad," she called out, her voice cutting through the noise. He turned towards her, the moment stretching into eternity. For a brief second, their eyes locked, and she saw something there, a flicker of recognition and hope. "Hey, kiddo," he replied, a mixture of weariness and warmth filling the space between them. Mia's heart soared as she raced to his side, and together they stepped into the crowd. Around them, laughter mingled with stories, creating an orchestra of connection. But just as she felt the stirrings of optimism grow, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Mia." It was Mr. Jensen, his expression now serious. "I need to talk to you." Mia's stomach tightened once more. In his eyes, she sensed urgency mingled with concern. What could he possibly want to discuss? As they stepped aside from the crowd, Mia glanced back at her father, and a pang of worry settled in her heart. What if this conversation changed everything? "What is going on?" she asked, her voice a hush. Mr. Jensen took a deep breath. "It's about your dad. You might want to sit down for this." With those words, the air felt charged again, thick with tension. What news was about to unravel, and how would it affect her father? And as the weight of uncertainty pressed down, Mia held her breath, teetering on a precipice. What lay ahead might change everything they were fighting for. Mia's heart raced as Mr. Jensen's words hung in the air. She could feel the crowd's murmurs fade into a dull roar, the colors of the health fair dimming in comparison to the gravity of this moment. "Sit down? Here?" she asked, glancing around as if the very ground might swallow her whole. The noise of laughter and chatter became a backdrop to the storm brewing within her. "Yes," Mr. Jensen said gently, guiding her to a nearby bench. "I think it's best." As they settled, Mia fought the urge to look back at her father, who stood amidst a group of neighbors, laughing, his smile warm and genuine. How could something troubling lie so close to that joy? "Your dad has been seeing the new support group I mentioned," Mr. Jensen began, his tone steady, but the weight of each word felt heavy on Mia's heart. "And they're concerned. They think he might benefit from a more comprehensive evaluation." A chill coursed through Mia. What kind of evaluation? The words tumbled out, laced with both fear and confusion. "Just to make sure he's on the right track," Mr. Jensen explained. "This can be a part of his recovery, but they want to be thorough, especially considering his history." "A part of recovery," Mia echoed, her mind racing. It was as if each word spun a separate thread of worry. She had hoped this fair would be the lifeline her dad needed, an opportunity to reconnect with others and rebuild. What if this turned out to be just another obstacle? "I know this is a lot," Mr. Jensen said softly, reading the flurry of emotions passing over her face. "But this doesn't mean he's failing. Sometimes these evaluations can actually be a turning point." Mia swallowed hard, the lump in her throat choking back her fear. What if Dad doesn't want to do it? What if he sees this as just another failure? He may feel that way at first, but it's important to guide him. Remind him this is a chance to grow, not a setback. Plus, you're not alone in this. You have Vin, and the whole community is behind you. At the mention of Vin, she instinctively glanced back, finding him chatting amiably with some people she recognized from the neighborhood. His presence grounded her in this storm swirling around her. A flicker of hope ignited within her, despite the dark clouds looming above. What if it helps him? She asked, the stakes amplifying in her mind. What if this is what he needs to start feeling like himself again? Mr. Jensen smiled gently. That's the spirit, Mia. Embracing the unknown can lead to beautiful things. Change can be scary, but it also brings potential for something new, a fresh start. Mia watched her father with a mixture of fear and longing. She wanted him to feel ready for this next step, to discover hope without being overwhelmed by doubt. Could this conversation be a call to action for them both? "Will you help me talk to him?" she asked Mr. Jensen, her voice trembling slightly, but now resolute. "I don't want him to feel alone in this. Of course. Together, we'll approach this. It's crucial he sees he is surrounded by support." Once again, Mia looked back to her father. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she also understood that the path to healing often twisted through unexpected places. The joy in his eyes was still there, despite the shadows. Perhaps today could mark the start of something greater for him and for their family. As they both stood, Mia felt ready to embrace the challenge ahead. Together with Vin, Mr. Jensen, and her father, they would face whatever came next. But just as they turned back to the crowd, an unfamiliar figure approached. The man looked vaguely familiar, his expression tense. "Mia, I've been looking for you," he said urgently, drawing closer. "You need to know about your dad. It's important, and time is running out." Mia's pulse quickened. Was this another layer to the trouble she was beginning to untangle? With uncertainty clawing at her heart, Mia realized she might be on the brink of revelations she had never expected. What secrets lay ahead, waiting to burst forth at the intersection of hope and fear? Mia's eyes widened as the stranger stepped closer, his face a mix of urgency and something unrecognizable. The crowd's laughter faded further into the backdrop, replaced by the pounding of her heart. "Who are you?" she managed to ask, her voice wavering. "I'm someone who knows about your father and what he's been struggling with." The man glanced over his shoulder, as if afraid of being overheard. "You need to hear this. It's really important." The emotion in his voice stirred a whirlwind of fear and curiosity inside Mia. "What do you mean struggling? What else is going on?" She felt a twist in her stomach, the pit of dread growing deeper. "Let us talk over there." He gestured toward a quieter spot at the edge of the fair. Mia followed him, her mind racing. Just as she began to process what could possibly be wrong, she caught sight of Vin in the crowd. He flashed her a reassuring smile, and for a moment, she felt a flicker of comfort. His presence had always been a steady rock for her, even in turbulent times. But now, her dad's well-being stole her focus. As they found a secluded bench, Mia took a deep breath. "Just tell me. I can handle it." The man's expression softened, yet the gravity of his words weighed heavily. "Your dad has been more isolated than you may realize. The support group, well, it's not just about bad days. He has been facing something deeper. Something he hasn't shared fully with anyone, not even you." Mia's thoughts defended her father, instantly trying to rationalize it away. "He has been better. He smiles, he talks, we laugh." "True," he said, yet his eyes bore a seriousness that made her pulse quicken. "But it's not just about putting on a brave face. There are scars beneath that smile, Mia. I've seen it in him, and it's clear he fears falling back into darkness. That's why the evaluation is critical." She shook her head, anger bubbling beneath her worry. "This isn't fair. He is trying. Can't he just have this moment? We finally came to the fair. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear," he continued gently, "but sometimes moments like these can lead to breakthroughs. If he is willing to open up, it could mean the world for him. You need to encourage him to be honest with himself and with you." Mia felt the weight of his words, binding her chest like a heavy blanket. "But what if he won't listen? What if this drives a wedge between us?" Remind him that it's okay to ask for help, that you want to be there for him, not just in his best moments, but in everything, the man urged, voice steady. "You have to be the lighthouse in his storm." Mia pursed her lips, a mixture of hope and fear swelling within her. She wanted to believe. Could she really be that force for him? "Thank you for telling me this," she said quietly, the fight within her awakening. "I don't even know your name, Jake," he replied softly. "And just know, you're not alone in this battle." As Jake turned to leave, he paused and laid a hand lightly on her shoulder. "You can do this, and you can help him face the truth." Mia's resolve solidified as she watched him retreat into the crowd. She took a moment to gather her thoughts, her heart pounding with determination. Suddenly the sound of laughter caught her attention. Vin was heading her way, a grin plastered across his face. He looked bright, unaffected by the weight of the world that seemed to loom over her. "Mia, there you are? I've been looking for you." "What's up?" he asked, his voice light. She felt the warmth of his sincerity draping over her like a soft blanket. "Vin, I need your help. There's something we need to do right now. Something important for my dad." His brows knitted together slightly, a flicker of concern making itself known. But the sincerity in his eyes pushed her to move forward. Together, they could shield him from the storm, change the tides, and perhaps steer toward the shores of healing. As Vin nodded, Mia felt the waves of anxiety ebbing away. "We've got this," she whispered, conviction in every syllable. But as they headed toward her father, a distant shout interrupted the fairest ambience. "Look out! Everyone, take cover!" Instinct kicked in, and Mia's heart raced once more, But this time, it wasn't filled with dread, it was determination. What disruption was threatening their moment of connection? And would they be ready to face it head-on together? The crowd erupted into chaos as people started to panic and scatter in all directions. Mia's eyes flitted around, searching for Vin's steady presence and then her father's familiar figure. "We need to stay together," she shouted, grabbing Vin's arm tightly. "Where do we go?" he yelled back over the rising commotion. "Let us just get to my dad." She pointed toward the bright colors of the carousel, where they had last seen him laughing with some kids. It felt like a lifetime ago now. They maneuvered through the clumps of jostling bodies, the laughter now overshadowed by screams and uncertainty. The scent of popcorn and cotton candy mingled with the sharp, electric smell of fear. Mia felt her stomach tighten. What if they couldn't find him? What if? "Keep moving," Vin urged, his eyes scanning the crowd with fierce determination. Mia matched his urgency, pushing through a wave of people that seemed to be surging away from the sound of something heavy crashing nearby. A few booths had toppled, scattered lights flickering dangerously as they swayed on their cables. The fair was transforming from a joyful escape into a nightmarish reality. They ducked beneath a falling booth, heartbeats overlapping in an anxious rhythm. Finally, they entered a clearing near the food trucks. Mia spotted her father, oddly calm, helping an older woman who had fallen near the fried dough stand. "Dad," she called out, relief flooding through her as she sprinted toward him. His gaze snapped up, meeting hers with a mix of recognition and warmth. "Mia, I'm glad you're okay." He scanned the area rapidly, still maintaining his focus on the woman. "I didn't know what was happening, everything just got crazy." Mia ran to his side while Vin hovered just a step behind her, ready to help. "We're fine, Dad. Just stay with us." "Everyone clear out," someone shouted, trying to direct the crowd away from the chaos. But the vibrations of fear hung thick in the air. Once the older woman was on her feet again, Mia turned back to her dad, urgency lacing her voice. "Dad, we need to talk. I mean, really talk. It's important." Her father's brow furrowed with worry. "Can it wait until this is over?" "No." The word burst from her lips, louder than intended, causing several heads to turn. She took a deep breath, lowering her voice to a tense whisper. "We just heard something. It's critical, Dad." He looked from Mia to Vin, who nodded in support, the uneasiness of the moment not escaping him. "All right," he said finally, glancing back at the swirling crowd. "Let us talk, but we need to find somewhere safe. Follow me," Mia urged, leading them toward the edge of the fairgrounds, where the noise was muffled by trees. Here, the chaos felt distant, and the air was a bit calmer. Her heart slowed enough to think clearly again. They found a clearing beneath the glow of twinkling lights strung between branches. Darkness surrounded them, but the warmth of familiarity wrapped around Mia like a blanket. She felt her mind sharpen, even as her heart raced. Taking a deep breath, she looked into her father's eyes. "Dad, about what Jake told me, I need to know how you're really doing." His expression shifted, eyes momentarily clouding over. She saw the quiet struggle behind his smile, the weight of unspoken words begging for release. "Mia," he began, a hint of hesitance creeping in. Suddenly, an ear-splitting crash echoed from the carnival, shattering the moment. Mia froze, her heart racing again. "What was that?" Vin shouted, eyes wide with concern. But Mia felt a different kind of fear creeping in. What if now wasn't the right time? What if they would lose their chance to confront the darkness together? As panic pulsed through the air and adrenaline surged, Mia faced her father with renewed clarity. "We can't run from this anymore. You need to talk to me." But as she prepared herself for whatever truth lay ahead, louder sounds erupted again, intensifying the tension surrounding them. Would they finally break through the barriers? Or would time give way to chaos before the healing could truly begin? Mia's heart dropped at the sound of the crash. It felt like the universe was pressing down on her, reminding her that they were all hanging by a thread. She could see fear washing over her father's face, mingling with concern for the crowd. He glanced beyond the trees, uncertainty flashing in his eyes. "Maybe we should move further away," he suggested, his voice tight. "No," Mia insisted, her grip tightening on his arm. "We need to stay right here. We'll face this together." Vin moved closer, a silent reaffirmation of solidarity. Even in turmoil, there was a strength in their bond. The three of them formed a fragile circle, an unspoken agreement to confront whatever dark truth loomed over them. Okay, her father relented, drawing in a shaky breath. But we have to be quick. Tell me, Dad. About the calls. About everything. The words spilled from Mia's lips, each syllable heavy with urgency. He looked down, fingers brushing against the glittering lights above. The night was alive, yet here in their corner, it felt so still, like the world had paused just for them. Mia, he hesitated, running a hand through his hair. It's complicated. You're too young to worry about this. No, Mia cried out, her voice cracking under the weight of emotion. I'm not a kid. I know something's wrong. I just want honesty. Her father looked at Vin, who nodded, encouraging him silently. Then he finally met Mia's gaze. I got some bad news. About your aunt. She's been sick, and his voice trailed off, the unsaid words hanging in the air, sharp and painful. Is she? Mia couldn't finish the sentence. She's doing her best. But it's rough, he admitted, each word dropping more heaviness into the abyss of her heart. Mia felt the world narrow down to just the three of them. I wish you had told me sooner. We could have helped, we could still help. I didn't want to scare you. I thought what? She interrupted, fire lighting her eyes. That I couldn't take it? That I wouldn't want to be there for you? No, Mia, it's not that. I just didn't know how to say it. The looming chaos beyond their small circle of light faded, replaced by a deep ache within her. I want to support you, Dad. We're a family, you don't have to carry this alone. His eyes glistened, emotions bubbling under the surface. I didn't realize how much I was shielding you. I thought if I held it together, you would, too. Vin stepped in, his voice steady. You don't always have to protect us from the hard stuff. We're stronger together, remember? Mia felt a rush of gratitude toward Vin. This was about more than confronting a truth. It was about creating a space for healing, allowing each of them to bear their pain, to seek comfort without fear of judgment. Just then, another loud crash echoed through the fairgrounds, pulling them back into reality. Panic surged anew. The sound of people screaming pierced the air, unsettling and frantic. What now? Vin exclaimed, eyes darting toward the chaos. Everyone's running. Her father's face twisted, fear creeping back in. We need to go. This isn't safe anymore. No, Mia shouted back, the word ripping from her throat. We can't leave like this. Not after what we just talked about. Her heart raced. There was more to say, more to unravel before the world outside ripped through their fragile moment. But each thump of the drum of chaos outside reminded her that time was slipping away. Whatever is happening, it's trying to divide us, she said, determination forging her resolve. We need to face the mess together. Mia locked eyes with her father and Vin, igniting a silent pact between them, a commitment to confront the storm raging beyond their small bubble. But as she prepared to take her first step forward, the ground beneath them shook. What is going on? Vin muttered, real fear creeping into his voice. Just then, Mia made a decision. We're not just going to face this, we're going to confront it head on. However, before they could move, the figure of a shadow lurked in the distance, giant and ominous, and Mia felt ice racing through her veins. Look, she pointed, the feeling of dread settling like a cold weight in her stomach. What was about to emerge from the depths of unrest threatened more than just their connection. It could unravel everything they had just begun to piece together. As the figure advanced, Mia's mind raced with possibility. Was there still a chance to find light amid the chaos? Mia's breath hitched as the shadow loomed closer, shifting under the flashing lights of the fairgrounds. Whispers of confusion rippled through the crowd, and she could see panicked faces drawn tight with fear. The figure seemed to absorb the light, casting an eerie shape against the colorful chaos behind it. Stay back, her father shouted, but Mia stepped forward, adrenaline surging through her veins. This was not just an unknown threat. It was a moment that could shake the foundation of everything she thought she knew. I have to know, she whispered, bracing herself. The impulse to protect her father and Vin surged alongside the need for truth. They couldn't let this moment consume them. They had to confront whatever it was, together. Vin put a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Mia, are you sure? We don't know what that is. I'm sure, she said, her voice strong. Whatever it is, it's not going to tear us apart. The figure moved closer, revealing itself a massive silhouette of a man, disheveled and cloaked in shadow, yet it had an unmistakable weariness to it. Fear danced in Mia's chest, but she noticed something else. Beneath the rough exterior, an unmistakable human fragility clung to him. The crowd surged in the opposite direction, bubbles of panic pushing them apart, and Mia felt herself being drawn to this stranger. "We can't just leave him," she urged, searching her father's face for understanding. "What if he needs help?" Mia, her father, warned, but she could see the conflict in his eyes. "It's just fear," Vin added, his voice low but steady. "It's spreading like wildfire. But we can choose not to let it in." Mia nodded, feeling emboldened by Vin's words. "If we don't reach out, how can we expect things to get better?" Just then, the figure halted and raised its head. The shadow shifted slightly, and for a moment, Mia saw his eyes lost, but filled with a glimmer of hope. It revealed something compelling, a silent plea echoing through the chaos. "Help," he rasped, his voice raw as if the world had worn him down. "Please, I don't know where to go." Her heart clenched. She understood the loneliness that oozed from him, the weight of despair that felt so heavy. "We're here for you," she called out, and to her surprise, his face softened just a fraction. "Why?" he asked, a mixture of disbelief and curiosity in his voice. "Because everyone deserves help," Mia replied, stepping closer, Vin standing resolutely beside her. The crowd continued to surge past them, but in that moment, her small circle felt like a sanctuary. Together, they stood against the tide of fear. "You don't have to be lost alone. We can figure this out together," she continued, her heart swelling with something that felt like love. The man looked at them, vulnerability cracking his hardened exterior. Mia saw it then, the pain, the struggle to find a place to belong amidst chaos. It mirrored her own. As the figure took a tentative step toward them, her father slowly stepped forward, joining their small formation. "What happened?" he asked, his voice softer now. "Tell us your story." And as the man began to speak, his voice trembled but grew stronger with every word. Mia felt a connection form. It was a thread of humanity, knitting them together amid the bruised shouts of the fairground chaos. But just as she thought hope might flourish, another crash roared through the night, louder, closer, and fear crackled through the air once more. The ominous shadow began to shift, a new threat emerging from the edge of the commotion. Mia's heart raced as she glanced back at her father and Vin. What if this only gets worse? The man's eyes were wide, mirroring her fear. Would their newfound connection withstand the storm brewing around them, or would it all shatter in the face of chaos? The question hung in the air like a candle flickering in a breeze, and with it, the uncertainty of what might come next. Mia's instincts urged her to shield her father and Vin, to forge a barrier against the chaos that seemed to tighten around them like a vice. With each crash echoing through the fairground, an urgency gripped her heart, a pressing weight that demanded action. "Stay close," she shouted, her voice firm. The fragile connection with the man remained, but the air pulsed with uncertainty. "Together." The man nodded slowly, still hovering in a world between fear and hope. With her father on one side and Vin on the other, Mia felt their combined strength forming a protective circle. It was more than a physical defense. It was a promise of solidarity against the unpredictable tides of chaos. As the rumbling grew louder, a figure broke from the shadows, an officer, waving his arms for calm as he approached. "Everyone clear out," he bellowed, his authoritative voice cutting through the panic. "We're assessing the situation. Stay together, and we will help you." Mia's heart tightened. "We need to reach out to him," she urged, glancing at the man who was still grappling with his fears. "You're not alone. You can be part of the solution." The officer caught her words. The pause in his chase for control caught Mia's breath, and a flicker of acknowledgement passed between them. "Help is coming. Stay put," he directed to the crowd, his focus then shifting to Mia. "You're doing well, stay strong." Mia felt emboldened. This was her moment. "It's okay to be afraid," she said to the man caught in their circle. "Fear is a part of healing, so is taking that first step towards support." At last, the man took a faltering step closer, his breath audibly shaky. I can't go back to where I was," he confessed, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I thought I was beyond help." "None of us are beyond help," Vin interjected, a steadiness in his voice that soothed. "Today is not just about survival. It's about finding that light again in our lives. Let us make a pact. Mia proposed, urging the others to hear her. We face this storm, and we reach out. Together. Her words hung in the air, a call to arms against what felt insurmountable. The man's eyes shifted between Mia and her father, who nodded, unreadable emotion flickering in his gaze. With each passing moment, the sounds of chaos ebbed slightly, as if waiting for their collective decision. But the tension still crackled, an unspoken understanding that now was the time to break the isolation, both for themselves and that shadowy figure before them. "Do you want to talk with us?" she asked gently, empathy pouring through her words. "You can share your story, and we'll face whatever lies ahead together. It starts with one breath." The man swallowed hard, fear giving way to a fragile resolve. I think I'd be like that." As he spoke, another roar moved through the crowd. Mia squeezed Vin's hand, making sure her father remained in their circle. They were a unit, unmoving in the face of despair, determined to piece together hope from the fragments around them. Just then, the officer walked toward them again, ready to provide guidance. "Anyone feeling unwell or unsafe, please step forward. Help is on the way." While chaos continued to pulse, the man stepped forward, buoyed by their unwavering support. "I've been lost for so long. I need to be okay," he stammered. "Let us start now," Mia replied, her voice fierce with purpose. "We're with you." And in that moment, all the disarray and noise faded into the background, eclipsed by the promise of connection, the profound understanding of their shared humanity. Amid the turmoil, Mia felt her heart expand. Together, they stood at the edge of the world, a collective beacon pushing against the shadows, their bonds slowly weaving together like threads in a tapestry. As the officer turned the focus toward them, Mia realized they were part of something bigger than any of their individual struggles. They were a community, the embodiment of hope and resilience. With renewed determination, she faced her father. "We can do this," she said, voice steady and resolute. He met her gaze, recognition sparking an ember of understanding within. "You're right. There's no hiding anymore," she said softly. "It's time we lean on each other." The crowd buzzed around them, and in that space of confusion, Mia saw new paths taking shape, beauty merging from the chaos. They were not just surviving. They were uncovering a narrative laced with healing. As the night pressed on, the sounds of celebration began to melt back into the air, laughter spilling over once again. In that moment, life within the fairgrounds pulsed with possibilities. Real connections formed, and the power of vulnerability became palpable. The man smiled, hope bubbling forth, and paused, taking a deep breath. "So how do we do this?" Mia leaned in closer, feeling the warmth of connection. Step by step, one story at a time. In the midst of uncertainty and fear, they embraced the healing journey ahead, a true testament to the light that emerges when darkness threatens to engulf. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead, untangling not only their scars, but weaving new threads of hope and love, forever strengthened by their bonds. And as they began to share stories, laughter filled the air, a harmony punctuated by resilience, echoing against the backdrop of chaos. This was their moment. The dawn of a new narrative had begun. Now, if you enjoyed this heartwarming conclusion and want to see more inspiring stories, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to join our growing family. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know this story reached your heart. Comment your reactions and feelings about how Mia faced her struggles with her father. It helps foster our community of support. And remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this remarkable transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Your engagement means the world to us.